So finally, the people of Cavan, particularly women, have good news because for years this has been talked about. I can't tell you how long. It must be 15 years at this stage. It's been talked about, and it's not done yet, just to say, but at least it's progress. What I mean by that is that it's pretty much confirmed that it will happen, that it will happen. But when it's going to start and when it's going to be done is another thing. But in fairness, we do have at least, yes, we're going to do it. For years there was him and how and oh, we could, we possibly could. Oh no, that him and how and how and him and. But finally, no, Neve Smith. Neve Smith pushed very hard for this. Minister Neve Smith. So finally, she has something to show for being a minister because pretty much she's got pretty much nothing for Cavan so far. From where I'm standing, nothing was really given to Cavan. So about time that Neve Smith gets something for Cavan because she's there 2 years at this stage, and it took basically it took a long time. Again, this is not today or yesterday. This debate that started. This is a long time ago, and that is to do with a refuge for women, particularly if they're fleeing domestic violence. Now, in the county, you won't believe me when I tell you this, but there's no place for a woman, take for example, that's been abused by a husband, or a husband abusing a woman too. But in this case, in a lot of cases, there's women being abused by their husbands, being attacked and threatened by their husbands. In some cases they have a mortgage. The two of them have a mortgage together, and the woman has nowhere to go. And there's been many cases where some women had to sleep in their car in Cavan because they had nowhere to go. So it's good that we're finally getting progress in that because it is a very prevalent issue, unfortunately, in Cavan and across the country too. Women, particularly women, suffering domestic violence. And I say this to any woman out there, or any man too, that's suffering domestic violence. Please don't put up with you're better than this and stuff. And of course, the relationships can be strained for, especially financial situations, etc. Things like that. It can be strenuous, of course. There's no doubt about it. But there's no way for somebody to put your hand, like attack you and hit you and violate you in that kind of way. That shouldn't be tolerated in any society. And particularly the level of violence in a lot of these cases are very frightening to see. What happens behind closed doors and etc. Especially because have a huge impact on people's mental health, their well-being, etc. And our life is already tough as it is without having relationship issues and domestic violence, etc. So it is about time that Neve Smith got something for Gavin, and like in fairness, we see when it's built, and if it's built or they're going to get a property, the most likely will get a property and do it up. I don't mind which is done, along with something is done. Because for years there was him and Howan and him and Howan and him and Howan, and they wouldn't make up their mind. So about time they literally said, yes, we will do something. It took them years to do it, as I say. But we're finally here. At least we're finally getting there. We're finally getting somewhere. Because, as I say, for 15 to 10 years, it's just been him and Howan and him and Howan and him and Howan. And at least now there's some kind of, yes, we're going to do it. Instead of a rigmarole. This shouldn't have took so long, as I say. Because it's been a major issue for the last few years, and it's been raised in the last election too. This should have been probably sorted as soon as Neve Smith got her job. It should have been the first thing that was sorted. But nothing was. It was basically took 2 years, as I say. But at least we're getting there. But anyway, do let me know what you think. But it did take a long time, and I do think we have to question this in Cavan too, and how long things do take, because this shouldn't have took probably 10 years to get anywhere. And we're not even there yet, but it could take another 3 years before even there. But it should have been dealt with years ago. This shouldn't have took this long. I think the majority of people would agree with this, that the length of time it takes for something to be done in this county is outrageous. People have lived in kingdoms, have risen and fallen in the amount of time, what I'm trying to say. But anyway, let me know what you think. Do you agree with this? Do you agree that it's necessary? Because I think the majority of people, I think if we've done a poll, I think nearly 99% of people in Cavan would say this is necessary. Because there is no refuge at all for anybody in this county seeking protection from domestic violence. From other issues too, not just even domestic violence, from other issues, things like that too. Crisis centre. So it's good that we finally might get it. As I say, it took years. But anyway, we see what happens. But let me know what you think. Subscribe for more and bye.